This week on Crunch Week, Microsoft unveils Windows 10, Reddit raises a fat new round, and Adam Sandler gets a bunch of money from Netflix. Hi, I'm Kyle Russell.
I'm Alex Wilhelm.
I'm Ryan Lawler.
And we're here on Crunch Week to talk about, first off, Microsoft's big unveiling of Windows 10.
Yeah, what the hell? It's the wrong name. I wrote like 1,000 articles calling it Windows 9 because, 8, and then the next number is not 10, but I think they're trying to air gap a bit from the really roughish life of Windows 8. It's a preview, so it's a very early preview. It's aimed more at like developers, enterprises, but it's a whole chunk of kind of what's next for the OS. And having been using 8 since its original preview, this is a lot better.
Do you think that they backed off enough from the trying to shove tablet interfaces onto everyone metaphor enough?
Yeah, that didn't go very well. I think this one's definitely a desktop-focused build. It's designed to get you into that environment and see what they're kind of cooking up for the desktop, which is an enterprise pitch, of course. And it's tough because it's a preview, so it's broken all the time. Like things don't work because they're still building them. But I would say if I had to be I'm optimistic, but I mean, there's still miles and miles to go. We'll have a consumer preview in January, and then a full release mid of next year.
So what's the big new thing in this version?
Well, they've built something brand new called a Start menu. That was never in Windows before, ever in the history of actually the operating systems. Look, they're bringing back a lot of the stuff that has worked for 15, 20 years that people know and they can use to their own advantage, right? People know the Start menu. They didn't know the Start screen. And so I think they're really trying to bring back some of the kind of the OG Windows stuff. And so it's not very exciting. I mean, it's a bunch of enterprise features. But I mean, if the OS works and then they sell more PCs, then it's good for Microsoft.
Okay, so you're a Microsoft guy, so maybe you can answer this for me. So they're saying that this is going to be the same operating system across everything. So on the desktop, they're going back, I guess, a little bit to the Windows 7 look and feel. But on mobile and tablets, they're sticking with the Metro, whatever you want to call it, look. And that's, apps are going to be made by developers, and apparently they're going to work across all of these platforms and have rejiggered interfaces for all of them.
Right.
How do you feel about that?
Well, if it works, it's going to be amazing. But if it doesn't work, it's going to suck. I mean, think about how cool it would be to have this one fluid experience from all the way from your smallest screen to your 80-inch television, right? You could have one UI, one set of apps, one set of files, all linked and working together in harmony. That would be really cool. It's just hard to build and get it right.
I guess my thing is, I don't know who buys Microsoft products anymore. Who are these people? And really, who buys a device to say, oh, I really want Windows. I really want Windows 10.
No, people, that's not what they say. People say, I want a laptop. And they go and they have the $300 budget.
Yeah.
And they buy a laptop and it has the Windows on it so they can use the Google. I mean, that's the level of,
Well, if they wanted to use the Google, they should just get a Chromebook.
Well, they don't know what Chrome is. They use IE. This is dude, it's 75 million PCs a quarter are sold. That's a lot. They're not all sold to elites or people like us that actually give a shit about phones.
Right.
People just want a PC to work. They know Word.
So, I mean, competing with Android, Microsoft just kind of dropped the ball really hard, and they're trying to make up for that. They're making it free for tablets and phones and such,
Right.
and they're saying that's brought in 50 manufacturers starting to make Windows devices.
Yeah.
But I mean, is that really?
How many of those manufacturers have we heard of?
Yeah, and how do they make money now? I mean, the previous business model was sell Windows.
Well, you used to go to the store, like Office Depot, and you would walk to the Microsoft software section and buy a box that had some disks in there, and then you would take it home and do this terrible install dance. Right now, it's all a service. Software is now mostly sold and delivered as a service. Adobe is doing this as well. So think about it this way: if they give you, a copy of Windows for free. Usually it's about $75 to an OEM to put it on the machine. It goes up for free. Then maybe you use more OneDrive, maybe you do more Bing searches, whatever. If they bring you into their ecosystem, they can monetize you in other ways, store revenues and so forth. I mean, Apple makes a ton of money doing this. And so if they can kind of bring up those new incomes to match what they used to make, and if it can provide a better, cheaper experience to consumers on the front end so they buy more stuff, it could work. But again, could,
yeah,
maybe,
lots of ifs, coulds, maybe.
I mean, I'm trying to hedge here. I'm just saying this is what they're trying to do. Windows will eventually be free for everyone on all devices, period. So yeah.
Okay, well, speaking of companies where it's not clear how they're going to make money, Reddit just raised a bunch of money this week. It's a $50 million round at a $500 million valuation. But what's unique about it is they're saying that they're going to give some of that stock back to the community.
Yeah, 10% they're going to give back to Redditors. Somehow, it's not really clear how they're going to decide how they're going to split that equity up, but Yeah.
10% of the 50 million? 10% of
No, 10% of the equity in the Reddit will go to Redditors.
How? How do you mechanize that? Do you get a lot of karma? You get a lot of Reddit stock points?
Things I've seen discussed are, they have Reddit Gold, which is something where it's you pay in money, and then if someone makes a particularly great comment or post, you can give them, it's like an advanced upvote basically. It gives them some Reddit Gold and it gives them special privileges for a while on the site, and how the system might be based on that. Or Dogecoin, has taken off pretty hard on Reddit, and I've heard that it might be based on a cryptocurrency, where along with having karma, you'd have like a wallet where the currency is based on the value of Reddit stock.
So all these teenagers are going to get Reddit stock, like a share, right? And they're going to be like, yes, and then Reddit's going to die, and everyone's going to have like the Bitcoin equivalent of stock.
Well, I mean, from what I've heard, it's that it would be especially for moderators, people who traditionally on forums have put in a bunch of time building a community, making sure that good content gets through, put in hours upon hours, something where you would be paid for it. Traditionally, it's been like out of the goodwill of your heart, and now there'd be some way to actually pay those people.
Do you still use Reddit?
I never really used Reddit. I was post Reddit. I was born post Reddit.
I was born this way. No, is there an age cutoff? Is it like 29 that you kind of like start to just exist? I noticed over time I use Reddit a lot less.
Well, for me, it's not that like Reddit itself has gotten worse. It's that the individual communities that I followed have gotten worse, where it's follow r/games, and then Gamergate happens, and you see all the terrible people in the community, and you're like, I don't want to be here anymore. Or talking about technology, and people get upset about certain companies being posted too much, so all of a sudden they shift to only being about security and NSA stuff. And it's just the value of individual communities I follow goes down. But I guess the Reddit logic is that over time, new ones spring up that fill those gaps.
But do you end up following those communities? Do you find other communities once the communities that you're in become crappy?
I used to try to be active about doing that and saying like, okay, I want to keep up where the actual conversations that I care about are taking place. But in my experience, it just ends up being increasingly fragmented, where it's like, okay, instead of games, now I'm on PC gaming and Xbox One, and there's fewer conversations on either with like less insight throughout. And
if our resident Ute can't Reddit, I think that's not a very good sign for the site, right? Because the $500 million peer post valuation, whatever it is, implies they're going to make a lot of money, right? And they want to exit by a tier of $4 billion at least. So like they have to create so much value from these maybe just flighty, fluid user bases. I mean, I don't know if there's a lot of like long-term value in that.
The thing that frightens me about this high valuation is the fact that the Reddit community is like particularly averse to advertising too. I mean, these are people who will like freak out over like a misplaced banner. Like, it seems like the easiest way to monetize the social network is through ads, and these people actively hate them.
Well, those people don't want to be the product.
Yeah. So maybe the move to actually having things you can pay for makes sense for Reddit. Maybe their huge community will end up actually paying for premium features. I don't know. Speaking of things that I don't want to pay for, you recently wrote about Netflix and the deal they made.
You don't want to pay for Netflix, or you don't want to pay specifically for Adam Sandler?
I don't want to contribute to his wallet getting any fatter.
Okay. All right. So, yeah, this week Netflix did an exclusive. Actually, Netflix did a few things. They did an exclusive deal with Adam Sandler's production company, Happy Madison Productions, for 4 films over the next 4 years. With Adam Sandler, I believe. And then they also got a day and date release of the new Crouching Tiger movie.
Two Crouch, Two Tiger.
Yeah, Two Crouch, Two Tiger.
Such wow. Much joke.
But yeah, so basically Netflix is making a move into movies in kind of the same way they made a move into TV.
So why Adam Sandler?
Yeah, it's just, it's like so cool, and then you're like, womp womp.
Well, I think part of it just comes from the fact that like a lot of people on Netflix watch a lot of Adam Sandler. Whether or not you think it's awesome content or Alex thinks it's awesome content, Netflix knows what people are watching, and they make investments in content based on what those people are watching.
That's a very nice way of saying that they try to appeal to the lowest common denominator.
No, not necessarily, because when they did House of Cards,
Yes, exactly.
When they did House of Cards, they knew that people really love Kevin Spacey movies. When they did Orange Is the New Black, it was because they had a lot of people watching old episodes of Weeds, right? So they know that people are watching Adam Sandler movies, and why not just pay for 4 more?
All I'm saying is, I can't see HBO ever doing a deal like this to get more people onto HBO Go.
Well, HBO doesn't need to, but that's a whole other thing.
It's like HBO to Netflix is like Apple to Microsoft, I think.
I don't want to get into those business model comparisons because that'd be convoluted very quickly.
But if there is a movie that comes out of this deal that is as good as Happy Gilmore, I will forgive them.
You really just wanted to mention that. You wanted to throw that in
so badly. I had to segue for myself.
Do you think that there's another sort of facet of this, which is, people say that Adam Sandler is sort of on the downside of his career. Have we just grown out of that type of humor? Or, I don't know, maybe he's just making crappier movies. I seem to recall his movies were pretty crappy beforehand.
But we were all just kind of like, hey, that's his style. It's like Jim Carrey in the early 90s, where we're all just kind of okay with it.
And then he became a serious actor.
And the thing is, we don't actually know what the movies are with Adam Sandler. I will hedge myself that way, in that, what if he made 4 Punch Drunk Loves? I would be so happy if he just actually made good things. Okay, but with the Crash, I actually do want to talk about Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon. Why do a simultaneous release in theaters?
For the Weinstein Company, it's a way for them to hedge their bets. If the sequel doesn't play well, then they have a guaranteed paycheck no matter what happens at the international box office. So for them, it's a way for them to just make sure that they know they got that Netflix money, and it doesn't really matter how it does at the box office, or it doesn't matter as much.
Right, but this is going to be a very expensive film to make, I presume, right? Special effects, technical stuff. So they probably are just if it's a $15 movie, $15 million movie, you don't have to do this. But if it's $300 million, then you really want to cover your ass, because that can blow up your budget for the next 5 movies.
This is true.
It is true.
And with that said, this is Crunch Week.